Hi everyone, you're welcome again to CFIL Mentorship class. I am Grace Oladoshu, and it's truly an honor to speak with individuals who are committing themselves and investing their time, their energy, their wisdom and care into shaping the lives of children and teenagers. Jesus said, let the little children come. So if you are pouring yourself into mentoring these younger ones, then I would like to let you know that it is a worthy cause. Jesus is also interested in you, and there is a reward. Indeed, there is a reward. Mentorship is one of the most powerful ways to influence the next generation, and at the center of effective mentorship is communication. Today we'll be talking about effective communication, mentoring with wisdom and grace. Communication is much more than speaking words. It is a process of building trust. It involves transferring values, guiding decisions, and even shaping their character. And every interaction we have with a child or a teenager communicates something to them, whether you know it or not. As long as you're interacting with them, you are communicating something. Our words, our tone, our facial expressions, our patience, and even our silence, they all send messages to them about how much we value them. And it is when they see that we value them that they can begin to pay attention to whatever you want to pass across to them, whatever you want to communicate to them. So when we're talking about communication, there is that aspect of building trust first before transferring truth. So it is in building trust that you keep them comfortable enough to pass any message across to them, or for them to even listen to whatever you have to pass across to them. So today we'll be talking about effective communication, how we ought to communicate. We'll be talking about the age-appropriate ways of communicating. We'll be talking about how to pass this message across to Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, and all that, passing the word of God, the gospel, across to them in a way that they will be able to grasp it. I pray that the Lord will help us as we go through in Jesus' name. Children and teenagers today are growing up in a way very different from the one many of us experienced while we were growing. Today we're surrounded with social media, we're surrounded with there's a lot of digital information, and then competing voices that constantly shape their thinking, that constantly shape their identity. And so because of this, mentors must communicate not only with wisdom, there is the need to communicate with wisdom and grace. It is one thing to know what to communicate. It is another thing to know how to communicate it. Then it is a far more important thing to actually do the communication, like appropriately, per time, per child, knowing that there is no one size fits all when it comes to mentoring these unique beings. But when we communicate wisely and graciously, we create safe spaces where they can just feel relaxed, they can ask the questions on their minds, they can express their struggles, and they begin to grow in faith, and they grow in confidence, they build confidence. I remember growing up, I had so many teachers, and lovely teachers, but then there were specific ones among them that I felt safer with because of the way they paid attention to me, because of the way they showed interest in what concerns me. So it was easier for me to take to correction from them, because I know it's coming from a place of love, because I know that they truly care about me. So if they are correcting this about me, it is because they want me to be better. So I could see things from that perspective, first because of how they showed love and care, and how they paid attention to things that concern me. So I believe we all should be able to relate to this. At one time or the other, we would have come across someone who paid attention to us, and as a result of that extra attention or extra care, or that you just feel like, oh, I can confide in this person, I can interact freely, you let your guards down, and that is it. So that brings us to age-appropriate communication skills. If you want children to learn, like you really want children to learn, then you have to make it as simple as possible. Please don't complicate things. You know, there is a reason we have all these audiovisual aids. We have these cartoons specially designed for children. And the moment they start with it like this, they get so engrossed in it. It has the ability to keep their attention, one. Then it also, whatever is like, researchers have discovered that passing messages across through the eyes, when people see things, when they hear things, all these senses, they have a way of making it register in our minds and the hearts, even for adults, not to talk of children. So when you want to pass a message across to children, it is important, the more visual you make it. When you're even using stories, the more visual you make it, the more it will stick to them and it will be difficult for them to forget. So when you are communicating with children, it is important to come simply first. Make it as simple as possible. You want to teach them about kindness, don't start giving them explanations. You see, you have to be kind, you have to do this, it is not good to be unkind. No, that will not work for children. You have to break it down. Like, you can start with a story of someone. You can pick some of them in that scenario and use them as an example, and use them as, okay, this is this person did this. Can you see what he has done? Can you see how she has done? Is it good to behave like this? They are involved in the whole process, and as a result of that, their attention is in. Once you start picking one of them, some of them might even feel like, why not pick me? I also want to be a part of this drama you are creating, and things like that. And little by little, you are getting their interest into what you actually want to teach them. While you are doing that, you don't forget yourself and digress into just the play alone. You draw out lessons. From that. Is when it comes to teaching children, that is what is most effective, involving them and also using visual aids. You use visual aids. We have charts, we have charts that do illustrations, we have pictures, you have videos, you have lots and lots of things that capture the attention of children. You have diagrams of various sorts. You want to teach them about Bible character, for example, probably the children of Israel crossing the Red Sea. You don't just stand there and start telling them, there is a Red Sea. First of all, they even think the sea itself was red in color. That is for children. But then, when you want to teach them like that, if you don't have access to probably a video or anything, you can use a picture, you can use a diagram, you can use a chart, you can use anything that will just bring their attention into that thing, that will make it visual. They'll be able to visualize it and picture it. This is what the Red Sea looks like, this is what Moses looks like, this is what, and things like that. So it registers in their mind even more. Then you get to tell stories. If you are interacting with children, younger children, then get ready to tell stories. These stories, they may not fully understand at that moment, but these things are getting registered in their hearts and in their minds. Then when you are teaching them and you're communicating with children, you use simple language. Don't start bringing big grammar. They don't have any business with that. They'll just be looking at you and you have lost that audience that way. But then by the time you start using their own things they can relate with, then you start getting their attention. They will understand what you're passing across. The purpose of mentoring, the purpose of communication is for them to understand. It's not for them to see you as this auntie when she speaks, or this uncle when he speaks. No, that's not the point. The point is you want to communicate something to them. There is something for them to learn, and we must not lose sight of what we are trying to pass across to them. So we use simple languages. Then you use concrete examples, like I said earlier. Then another thing is repetition. That's the reason we have memory verses. Some of these memory verses, it is when they grow older, because it is already there. When they grow older is when they will start coming to a better understanding of the meanings or what it actually implied. But at that time, when you are teaching them with repetition, it will stick. It will store there. That's why they said, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. By the time he gets older, he will start bringing to remembrance all those things he had learned or she had learned while they were still younger. So the use of repetition, the child will keep repeating. When you allow them to repeat, probably a phrase, and repeat it, you build whatever you want to teach them around that phrase. And they keep, like when there was a time in CFIL, we were taking them, what will Jesus do? So that phrase became a household language. If anybody does anything, what will Jesus do? If you want to respond or react to something that someone, you ask yourself, what will Jesus do? So when you ask yourself, what will Jesus do? You get to retrace your steps if you were about doing something wrong, or if you were about reacting in a negative way at that time. So things like that, and we do it in fun ways. Not like, oh, you are just harsh on them and you feel like you must know this thing, I've been trying to teach you. No, that is not the way. By the time you do that, you create a coercive environment for them. They no longer feel safe to express themselves. Some of them will just pull into their shells and feel like, maybe I'm just here by force, let's just get this over with. And their minds, almost immediately, their minds have shifted from what you're teaching them. They're already thinking about something else, just because of your tone of handling them. So we talked about listening. We talked about making it simple as much as possible. Use simple language. Use visual aids, pictures, charts, diagrams. Then storytelling. Then afterwards, rote learning, repetition. Let them repeat things. Then another thing when we're dealing with communicating with children is affirm their emotions. Pay attention to their non-verbal emotions, non-verbal cues that they are giving you. Don't just sidetrack it or sideline them. Pay attention. Then another thing is reward them. Reward them for effort. Fine, they might not, you're trying to pass a message across to them, they might not get, probably asking them to repeat something, and that child tried but was not able to complete it. Don't, because of that, just say, oh, look at him, he doesn't know it, he didn't get it, leave him alone. No, you have to reward that child, probably by giving the person an applause. Oh, give him a clap, he tried, good of you, or you can do better. Things like that. You need to ensure that you don't in any way sideline their efforts. Appreciate whatever efforts a child is putting in, even if he is not the best in that group or in that class. When you applaud them for the little that you've noticed they were able to do, it encourages them, gives them more. It's like an extrinsic motivation. So it keeps them, oh, I can do better. I did it. Some of them did something little, but the way you amplify it, like, you have done so well, you can do more, and things like that. They get encouraged to, yes, I want to do more. So that is it with children when we're dealing with children. Like I said, children need affirmation and they need our encouragement. Their confidence grows when they see that you encourage, you applaud their efforts and not just their achievements. So don't wait until they have achieved the desired goal before applauding them, before recognizing them. Start paying attention to even the details, to the efforts they are putting, and that way they build confidence. They learn to put in more effort because they know that there is a goal. And sometimes they express themselves through behaviors rather than words. Then that is where patience on the part of the mentor comes in. You can't afford to just dismiss that behavior. Sometimes you have to look into, before you even discipline them for a wrong behavior, sometimes you have to pay attention or look into what could have been the reason, what could have been the cause of this kind of behavior coming from this child. And sometimes by the time you get to the root of it, you discover that there is a lot more to trash than just that behavior that the child is putting up. So when it comes to mentoring children, there is the need for patience, and a lot of patience. We also have some children who are hyperactive, like they are almost everywhere, every time, doing one thing or the other. Meanwhile, it has been observed that most times they have good intentions for disobeying or for doing whatever it is they are doing. Mentors need a lot of patience and gentleness with such children. Not everything requires taking a drastic step or drastic action because this child has gone contrary to the instruction you give. Sometimes you just need to pay attention. Sometimes you just need to be patient. And when you are patient, you will definitely see the reason for that action and you'll be able to handle the matter differently. Probably you're asking them to sit, maybe you're asking all of them to sit somewhere and one of them is standing or walking in the opposite direction or even running towards another direction. The next thing you would do normally is to just probably shout the person's name or call the person, or once the person comes back, there is a discipline for the person and things like that, or mark the person that you are in trouble today and things like that. But then in a situation where a child gets up from the chair when you're asking them to sit and keeps running in another direction, and later you discover that this child has gone to pick something that you told them you were searching for before, and probably while he was about sitting, he just spotted it. That is what hyperactive children do. He just spotted that thing before even telling you, "Ma, please, I've seen what you are looking for, let me go and pick it," and things like that. They're already there picking it and bringing it back. By the time they bring it back, you will see the reason for that disobedience and things like that. The only thing you would then do is to probably appreciate that action, but then still let that child know, next time, this is what you do. You tell me first. You obey this first. You tell me this is what you want, and things like that. So that's one of the ways to handle children who are hyperactive and doing things seemingly contrary to the norm. Talking about communication with teenagers. For communication to be effective when we are handling teenagers, it is important to note some of the needs of this fast-growing and amazing bunch of older kids, although they wouldn't want you to call them kids. They are in a stage actually where a lot is happening in their bodies. They are transitioning from childhood to adulthood. They are beginning to form identity. They have a lot of questions on their mind. Who am I? Why am I here on earth? What am I doing? Why should they? That is the stage where they question almost everything. They question things they've been doing before. They want to know, why is this? Why do you call this that? And things like that. They are beginning to learn. They are learning independence. Like, they're beginning to detach themselves from things and coming to find an understanding of who they really are. So at that stage, they want to be heard, they want to be validated, they want to be seen, they want to be taken seriously and all that. So before we go ahead, I would just like to give us a few don'ts of communication with teenagers. For communications to be effective, what are those things that we should not do as mentors? The don'ts of communication with teenagers. Number one, don't assume you know what they are thinking. Don't assume you know what they are thinking. Don't begin to lecture them. Don't begin to overload them with do's and don'ts, with details and all that. And another thing is, don't respond with anger, or else you're just going to cut down communication. When they, I said earlier that they are at a stage where they question almost everything. They want to know, they have ideologies they are trying to form and all that. That is not the time. So by the time you come in contact with them and your ideas contrast, don't just respond with anger. Don't nag, don't yell, don't even use sarcasm. It will only make them defensive and they will want to prove points, and then that will not yield the desired result. When handling teenagers, don't dismiss their responses. When they speak, when they air out their opinions, don't belittle their opinions and just dismiss it and feel like, don't you know this, don't you know you're supposed to do this, or and things like that. Doing such things will only break the bridge of communication. It will hinder effective communication. We said earlier that is a stage where they are beginning to find their identity, they're beginning to question almost everything. In situations where their own ideologies contrast with yours, don't see it as an opportunity to just shun them and dismiss them. Why are you behaving? How could you? Or why should you? No, this is not the time to start asking them. They are forming ideas. They believe that what they are thinking is the right thing. So responding with anger will only make them feel like, oh, this person is not thinking the way we are thinking. This person does not understand, and things like that. So you don't respond with anger, or else you cut down the flow of communication. Then don't nag at them. Don't keep repeating the same thing. Hey, I told you yesterday. Now you're doing it again today. Don't you know that this? And you are cutting off communication. They will just see you as someone, because what they want to do is what they will still keep going ahead or keep working towards doing. The only thing is they will just streamline you or cut you out of their circle, because they'll feel like this one will keep disturbing us. That's the way they'll perceive it. So don't nag, don't yell at them, don't start screaming, don't start shouting at them, and don't start. Hey, another thing is, don't feel like, oh, when I embarrass him or when I embarrass her, she will start doing the right thing. It will not work that way. When you embarrass them, you go in the midst of their friends and you talk about something bad they've done and all that. The only thing is you are doing is you are pushing them away from yourself even more, because they will feel like they're not safe with you, or probably they even come to you to confide in you, tell you some things about their personal lives, about their struggles and all that. Then you go ahead, start sharing it with other adults, or or using it against them and things like that. They will just see you as a no-go area henceforth. And then, have you actually succeeded in mentoring, right? Definitely no. So don't dismiss their responses. Don't assume you know what they are thinking. Give them the opportunity to talk, to share. In fact, validate their opinions. Even if you have a counter opinion, still show them that you can relate, because we've actually been there before as well. So like I said earlier, don't treat them as children. They don't want to be treated as children. They want to be respected. They want to feel seen. They want to feel like, okay, we are something. So make them feel like they are something, because indeed they are actually special. So those are the don'ts I'll be giving us as the don'ts of communicating with teenagers. And now to the do's of communicating with teenagers. Number one, I would say ask thoughtful questions. We already know we have to interact with them in a friendly way. Let them know you understand them. Come to them to show interest in the things that interest them. Then you ask them thoughtful questions. Like if you want to get into their hearts, actually ask them thoughtful questions. Ask for their opinions on issues, and that way you begin to, by the time they talk, you begin to see what they see, how they reason, and things like that. But if you don't ask them thoughtful questions, you ask them questions that the response will just be yes, no, that you're not making any headway. But when you ask them thoughtful questions, they will begin to they'll begin to think in line with those questions you have asked, and they will start, by the time they start expressing themselves, then you can read between the lines. And another thing is to listen without interrupting. Pay attention. So that's one of the most difficult things to do when we're talking about communication. Most times it's difficult for people to truly listen to another person. Most times you just want to get what is in your mind, you want to get it across to another person. But then it doesn't work that way with teenagers. Listening is an important part of effective communication when we are dealing with teenagers. Listen to them, pay attention to them, don't interrupt, let them express themselves. But after expressing themselves, without you dismissing their ideologies or perspectives, then you can now move ahead to open dialogue, like having conversations. When they talk, you also show that you can relate with what they are saying. then as well you now start chipping in. Probably you've gone through something like that, how you went through it, how it affected you, how you scaled through, and things like that. These are things, when you share things like that, they are already picking their lessons without you telling them this is how you must do. Oh, you must not talk to a boy, you must not greet a girl. No, all those things will only increase their curiosity, like why is she asking us not to do this? There must be something about it. Then you are drawing their attention to things like that. But then by the time you share your experiences and they can relate with you, by the time they are now faced with situations that relate with what you've shared with them, easily they can, what will come to their minds was all those way of escape that you shared with them are the things that will start playing out in their minds. So this is one of the ways to help teenagers to communicate effectively with them. Like I said earlier, don't nag at them, rather show genuine interest in the things that interest them, those things that are important to them. Show interest in it. Well, if it is football, if it is games, if it is singing, music, and things like that, from that, just like Paul would go to people who do not even know anything about God. Paul would go to them and they were serving the unknown God, right? No problem now. I've brought to you that unknown God that you don't know. There is a God somewhere that you don't know, but I know him. You understand things like that. So when communication is done that way, it creates a kind of safe landing, a safe spot, safe space for the teenagers, and they feel like, yes, you just discover that they find it more convenient to stay with you, to share with you, to talk with you, because fine, sometimes it might look like, oh, you're not that strict about some things they are doing, but then it's for a purpose. When teenagers feel respected, they become more open to guidance and mentorship. But when they don't feel respected, when they feel like you keep nagging, you keep dismissing their thoughts, you keep shunning them, you keep telling them why what they are doing is always there is everything wrong with whatever they are doing, then they don't feel any need to receive any guidance from you. In fact, that pulls them farther away from